Atassi reporting again for Nothing But Dicta, the podcast for people who like to send signals about the right and wrong way to do something. Today I'll be talking to Kevin Coleman, another 3L willing to guide 1Ls to make the right choices. Hi Kevin, thanks for joining us. Would you mind introducing yourself?
My name's Kevin Coleman. I'm originally from Bethesda, Maryland, just a little bit down the street from GW, and went off to a small school called Mitchell College for undergrad. I was a resident assistant there for 2 years. I was in student government, and I was the student government president my senior year. I came from a family of lawyers, so it was never, ever a foreign concept. It was never forced on me. I was never instructed to do it, but everyone was very relieved when I made the right choice. I came to law school straight from undergrad. I wanted to be in DC. GW was a fantastic opportunity, and it's been a fantastic opportunity. I came into GW interested in sort of government public policy and criminal law, and I had really an incredible opportunity to see the intersection of the two during my 1L summer when I was an intern with the Fraud and Public Corruption section at the DC U.S. Attorney's Office. And as some folks may be aware, in the summer of 2019, that section was preparing to try Roger Stone. That was the same summer where Judge Amy Berman Jackson banned him from using social media, and it was really quite a circus. Also, just an incredible opportunity to get to know some really, really brilliant prosecutors. I really couldn't have asked for a better 1L summer job. After that, I was 100% interested in public corruption work, and so I did a second internship with DOJ's Public Integrity section. They do nationwide public corruption cases as opposed to just at a U.S. Attorney's Office. So in DC, they get a lot of cool cases because everything related to Congress can have venue there. But we also got stuff way, way, way outside of DC in terms of what we did at Penn. There was a bribery case in some town I'd never heard of in Texas that was centered around this idea of two corporations were very interested in getting contracts for water treatment plants that were entirely unnecessary. They already had one that worked just fine. First scheme was to bribe a bunch of city councilmen. They laundered the money through a couple lawyers. So don't do that. But so they were bribing almost an entire city council, certainly enough to have a majority on the city council to vote for them in order to get probably, I think it was like a $200 million contract to fix, and I say fix facetiously, the first water treatment plant that was working just fine. Then there was a second one that they didn't need at all. And so they got a contract for that too. Everyone got indicted. I think almost everyone's been pled guilty. This past summer, I was a summer associate at Covington Burling in their New York office. And by New York office, I mean right here in Arlington, Virginia, in my apartment. But that was a great experience. I got to work with some really brilliant people on some incredibly interesting cases, pro bono stuff, commercial litigation, an insurance matter, which was like weirdly interesting. This fall, I'm interning with Judge Amy Berman Jackson, a recurring character from my previous internships. And then after I graduate, I'll be clerking in the Southern District of New York.
Wow, you really have worked on the made-for-TV cases, and then you did insurance, so maybe less made-for-TV. But it's exciting, and it also kind of shows how the DC law world can be kind of small.
That's the great thing about DC and GW. I mentioned that I was on the Stone case. One of the lead prosecutors in that case, Jonathan Kravis, teaches a course at GW. And the co-professor was the guy I worked with on the obstruction of justice case. It's not just in the public corruption arena. Everyone really knows everyone in DC. The legal world is really interconnected. And it's just such an incredible place to go to law school for that reason.
What do you do when you're not working on all these exciting cases?
I think it was like when I was 5 or 6, I started playing piano, and I've tried to do that ever since. It's just sort of a fun way to relax and focus on something that's not related to law or not related to school. This summer, my girlfriend and I got a corgi puppy, so a lot of my attention is now devoted to that.
I didn't know about this until recently, but the Queen of England has a corgi collection.
Yeah, they're great dogs. It's actually really fun walking her. I've had people roll down their car windows to start filming the puppy. People have crossed the street to meet it. They've brought their dogs over constantly. It's a lot of fun.
Do you have a fun fact about yourself?
So I am an identical twin. When we were in 3rd grade, we switched classes on April Fool's Day. And we got away with it for like 2.5 hours.
That was what I was going to ask, because I feel like every time I meet identical twins, they're like, oh, no, we've never switched. I'm like, then you're wasting. Like if I were an identical twin, that would be something I'd be interested in.
There are two things you can do. You can switch classes and you can blame a murder on the other.
Wow, yeah. So at least you've done one of those, so hopefully the other
I
one,
never have to do the other.
You don't have to do. On a more serious note, what do you wish someone told you before law school?
Yeah, in terms of the fundamentals, or legal research and writing, as it was called when I was in the program, I think I had generally a pretty good sense that, like, this is what lawyers do. We read, we write, we make arguments, we make predictions. And I understood that this was like an important component, but I didn't think I recognized how essential the skills in that class are to success in practice. Really, when I was in my internships, 80% of the work I was doing was stuff that I learned in my legal research and writing course. The advice that I would give to anyone out is give at least as much attention to that course as any doctrinal course, if not more. It's really important to develop those skills, and you don't want to be midway through too well when you're sort of figuring out some of the tips and tricks that you would have learned had you focused a little bit more in fundamentals.
Thank you, Kevin. We've learned a lot today. And thank you to our listeners. We hope you join us again soon for another episode of Nothing But Dicta.